Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The proceedings are being transcribed and recorded to provide full and accurate minutes and allow full participation of the clerk. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Raynham Zoning Board of Appeals for January 8th, 2020. The participating board members: to my right, Peter Shondak; to my left, Francis McGuirk; and my name is Carl Verana. I would call the meeting to order at 7:01 and request that the clerk read the petition and other relevant matters.
The Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8, 2020, at 7 p.m. at Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 997, Bethany Bosmer and Patricia Costello, Raynham, Mass. Request for variance from Raynham zoning bylaw, section 5.1, minimum requirements to allow construction of a two-car garage addition with recreation room and storage above, having a side yard setback of 9.4 feet instead of 20 feet, and rear yard setback of 12.1 feet instead of 20 feet. All at Locust Property, 632 Hall Street, Raynham, Assessors Map 1, Lot 38-2. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should attend the hearing. Copy of the plan and application may be reviewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during regularly scheduled business hours.
Thank you. Would all those who intend to give testimony with respect to this matter please rise? Anybody who intends to say anything? You're it, huh?
Yeah, she does all the work.
All right. Would you swear that the testimony you're about to give this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
True. Come on up and let us know why you want us to
Should I read
allow
this?
this petition.
List of butters.
Oh, pardon me?
Butters were
The list of
notified.
abutters, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was notified by Jennifer Banks Oldfield.
Pardon me?
Just tell briefly what you'd like to do and why.
Oh, we want to build a two-car
Name for the
garage
record.
on our property.
Oh, I'm sorry, your name, sir.
Oh, my name's Lucas O'Connor. I'm Bethany's fiance.
Okay.
So we want to build a two-car garage on the house she just purchased. So, extra rec room. She works nights, so we want an extra rec room to kind of keep the living room away from the bedrooms, and garage to protect the cars and maybe add value to the house too.
Okay. Anything else, or are you satisfied with that?
I don't have any questions.
Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak on your behalf or who's in favor of this?
No, just me, I guess.
Okay. Fran?
I don't have any questions, I don't think.
Peter?
Just the abutter that it's going to be closest to,
Yeah.
there's not a name on here, I didn't know.
It says up top, the church.
The church is in the back.
Yeah.
It looks like they come around the
And
side.
it looks like
of it.
you already have a chain link fence on the church property?
Yeah, that was there when we bought that.
Okay. And I noticed the garage is 34 feet wide.
Yeah.
And I looked at the plans. Is it necessary to be that wide, or would you be able to take it in a little bit as far as just to get, because that's where you're closest to the property?
Yeah.
There's 9 feet there, like maybe come in at least another, 4 feet or so.
Shrink
Just
it down
to-
4 feet.
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, 34-foot wide garage is
Yeah.
pretty wide.
Yeah.
You know.
Two cars. I got a lot of stuff. So.
Yeah, two-car garage is usually about 24, so you
Yeah.
know.
We figured if we're gonna go
Right.
this.
Oh, I
go
can
max.
understand that. It's just that you don't want to infringe on a.
I have a question.
You know.
Since we sent the list to them, did they complain or anything?
No, but
So
a lot of times
then-
the complaints don't come till later.
Well, they got the thing right.
Right,
So
right.
if there's no complaints, I don't see why we couldn't.
Yeah. No, I'm just, like I say, it's, I can understand you want the room, but it is beyond what the
Yeah.
the setbacks are.
Because of where the house is located. So
Right.
There was. It's,
Right. I mean, or
set
even
way back.
even looking at that, I mean, you might even be able to shift it kind of forward. You got all this room in the front.
We're trying to, the architect that we talked to was trying to
Yeah.
avoid building in front of the chimney and electrical, because
Okay.
that'll cost a lot more
Okay.
money than we
All right.
would
Yeah,
want.
no, I can understand that, but I'm just looking at the setbacks are 20 feet, 9 feet's
Yeah,
quite,
Yeah, you're pushing it a little is what he's trying to
Yeah.
say.
yeah, all right.
you know,
Get it.
like I say, if you could shrink it maybe 4 feet, just to
So-
get a little bit more of a buffer.
So if I shrunk it 4 feet, would it?
Yeah, maybe to
improve it
30
an hour?
feet, and then that'll get you up to at least 12 feet on each side, you know,
Okay, so
at each setback.
if we shrunk it, then where do we go from there? Do we have to do this again?
But then he'd be a lot happier.
Yeah.
I'm just looking down the road, because like I say, we don't hear,
Yeah.
you don't hear the complaint now, because some people like, oh, I don't, but then when they see it,
Yeah, not to sound rude, they
Yeah.
have enough time. Like,
Right.
I don't wanna be,
right,
I mean, I went through all the steps to come here, do everything, and
yeah.
Fran?
Kind of do agree with Peter, but for the fact that, does this property line come down straight from the church's property, or, because it looks like the line keeps going, but it doesn't really say, this is marked as Lot 1. Is this a different lot than the
so,
back lot?
yeah, the lot, the house is, I don't know how many feet, but it's far away from the actual property line. There's like the woods in that property line, so you can't even really see our house from their property anyway.
Right, but the house, as you look at your house to the right,
Yeah.
which is here called Lot 1, is that house up front of their lot, or is their house there at all,
There is a house there.
in Lot 1?
It's kind of weirdly placed too. I don't know really how to explain.
Is it, where it says Lot 1, is it near there, or is it closer to the
No,
back,
it's
closer to the
it's more
front?
towards the front.
Front
More
and
towards the
over to-
front.
So it's not
more
very
towards
close to this
No, it's
area.
not.
No.
It's more towards the sub pump. So
Okay.
it's set in the front, and ours is set in the way back.
Yeah, with this plan, the way that line looks like it comes back,
Mhm.
that back corner, you could never build back
Right,
there on
right,
that lot either,
right.
and the church is not.
Yeah.
So as much as it's close,
true.
it's close to
It's
nothing.
close to
Nothing
It's-
that's gonna,
yeah.
yeah, that's true
Yeah.
too.
It's really not near
I
the
didn't even
house or
think of it
anything.
in that sense, that, yeah,
It
there's not
doesn't
really.
show it on there. I wish we should have put it on
Yeah,
there.
if
but-
there had been a house that was close to that property
No,
line,
Right.
It's
it
not
would be.
close to that at all.
Okay, all right, then that,
Anything
yeah,
else?
no, that's,
Anything else, Fran?
No.
Anyone here in opposition to this petition? Anyone here who wishes to add any comments? I would then declare the meeting closed. The board will go into executive session. All may remain, but none may speak. Peter?
yeah, no, that Franny brings up a good point, that
Right.
it's not even close to another building, so yeah, I guess a setback would be fine.
Fran?
I don't have any problems with it.
Yeah.
Move to vote on the petition?
Aye, yes?
Yes.
Aye.
I would open the meeting again and announce that the board has granted your petition.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone having any objections to the decision may file an appeal to the Superior Court. The appeal shall be filed with the town clerk within 20 days of the filing of the board's decision with the town. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Do I need anything?
You'll get
something after a
while.
Yeah.
After the appeal period.
All right, thanks.
All right. All right, I would again call the hearing to order. The meeting reconvenes at 7:05, 7:10. And the participating board members to my right, Peter Shondek, to my left, Francis McGuirk, and my name's Carl Verana. Again, I would announce that the proceedings are being transcribed and recorded, and request that the clerk read the petition and other relevant matters.
Yeah, well, I got the old one, it's the same thing, right? Yeah.
All right.
All right. The Raynham Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, January 8th at 2020 at 7 PM at the Raynham Veterans Memorial Town Hall, 558 South Main Street, to consider petition number 989 Cumberland Farms, Inc., by its attorney Douglas A. Troyer Esquire, Braintree, Mass. Request for special permit pursuant to Raynham zoning bylaws, Section 7.4, specific uses authorized by special permit to allow a gasoline selling station and special permit pursuant to Raynham zoning bylaw, Section 6.6.7A, design requirements for all signs, movement, to allow a changing message board sign. The locus is 883 Broadway, assesses map 4, lot 209-0, Raynham. Anyone wishing to be heard on this matter should attend the hearing. Copy of the plan and application may be reviewed in full at the Raynham Town Clerk's office during scheduled business hours, and this was a continuation from August 28th? Well, all right, yeah,
October 30th.
October
30.
30th, okay. Okay, October 31st.
Yes, sir.
4 different ones.
Good evening.
That's-
Doug Troyer on behalf of Cumberland Farms. I have Phil Henry with me again tonight, who's the project engineer. Maureen Chubak, who's our traffic engineer as well. As the board will recall, we have gone through the project, and where we left things last time was discussions about doing potential, looking at seeing if there's any additional mitigation that Cumberland Farms could take into consideration in connection with the rear part of the property. Since October 31st, we've had discussions with Ed Buckley of DPW, as well as the building inspector and your peer review engineer to kind of discuss what certain mitigation may be able to be done. The parties are in the process of finalizing what we are hopeful to be a mitigation agreement that Cumberland Farms will basically be providing funding to the town to assist the town in doing engineering and actually look into the area. It's our understanding it's really looking to do some mill and overlay to Richard and Sylvain and Wayne Street. Mass DOT is already slated to do some work at the front of Richard Street, and then this work would also pick up the work on Richard Street that the Mass DOT doesn't do. There will be some additional drainage mitigation, and which would be implemented in order to basically eliminate any potential or actually it's really existing conditions, because the project in essence does not increase any additional runoff, but at this point there is a flooding issue, alleged flooding issue at the rear, to which we're providing funds to the town to do the engineering and actually perform that work. We've been in front of the planning board, and at the last meeting there were some tweaks that they wanted us to make that were going to be conditions in the site plan condition. And in essence, Cumberland Farms, and I'll let Phil just really briefly run through it real quick, but there's 4 additional changes that we've made to the plans to provide additional mitigation that I'd like you guys to be aware of. If you don't mind just running through that with them.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Phil Henry with Civil Design Group. We are the civil engineers on the project. So as Doug had indicated, there were a handful of items that the planning board had requested at our last meeting that was a result of the hearing from residences and abutters alike, and also the planning board directly. And I could just run through those fairly quickly. The first thing. The first item was actually the fire department wanted us to add a 3-foot wide striped area opposite spaces 1 through 8 on the north side of the curb, which is roughly right here. There's a fire lane, no parking sign along that north side of that curb line. We've also added a 6-foot high white vinyl fence that will extend from the north side of the project to the south side, and then wrap around approximately right about here. So previously we just had a fence on the south side or on the north side of Richard Street. Now we extended that fence from each of the side streets. And we've also supplemented that with 6-foot-high arborvitae. We're actually called for it to be 8 feet installed, 5 feet on center. So I think there's approximately 31 arborvitae that will be planted at time of construction across here. And the spirit of that was to combat the vegetation. All the vegetation in that area is fairly high, so this was to capture that vegetation or that see-through or that light from 0 to 8 feet. Granted, the fence itself will do that, but it's sort of belt and suspenders, but we added both. We also relocated on the landscape plan, and I could show you that if you'd like. There were 2 trees, one located at the intersection of Richard and Broadway, and another tree here. At the last hearing, the planning board had requested that those trees be relocated to that dumpster area or the loading area, and we have done that. And then lastly, there was a comment made about directing exiting vehicles to Broadway and not encouraging them to go past Richard Street and Sylvain onto Wayne Street. So exiting, so each stop sign here will also have on the pole a no left turn sign so that nobody tries to go down Richard Street, or someone that's not familiar with the area thinking that they can go somewhere down on Richard Street. And conversely, on Sylvain, those stop signs will also have signage saying that there should be no right turns as well. So those were the minor improvements. Other than that, the plan substantially remained the same. Obviously, since we were last in front of you, we met with DPW on a number of items, and they seem to have been resolved. I'm happy to go through that with you, but these are the tangible plan items that we've been added.
I'm sorry, identify yourself.
I apologize. Doug Troyer again on behalf of Cumberland Farms. So that's basically where we are at this point. I believe we have had several meetings in front of you going forward, and Cumberland Farms is respectfully requesting that this board grant a special permit for the gas use, as well as a special permit in connection with the sign to allow the movements of the sign as proposed in the application. Answer any questions that the board may have at this time.
Great.
Not at this time.
Peter?
Trying to recollect, is this a 24-hour?
Yeah, we have had discussions with the planning board about this, and we are proposing a condition that this be a 24-hour operation. The reason for that is McDonald's is 24 hours. We are just right down the doors from that. I believe the gas station down the road is also 24 hours. We are looking, and we've heard comments that there may be a concern about that. What we're proposing with the planning board is a condition that allows us to have an operation for 24 hours a day for 1 year, and then have a look back in 1 year to make a determination as to whether or not that is working or not, or if there is in fact a problem. If there does turn out to be a problem, then we'd be looking to modify it to 5 a.m. to 12 a.m. Is what we'd be looking for.
If there's a problem, what kind of problem?
Well, basically what we do, we go back in front of either this board, or we go back in front of the planning board, whoever is the entity that basically puts the condition on ours, and have a hearing. We would be required to go through the process of doing a public hearing for the sole purpose of having a discussion as to whether or not there are issues that are resulting from it being a 24-hour operation.
Such as what?
If in fact there is concerns about lighting, which we believe that we have satisfied, and in fact it's demonstrated that Cumberland Farms lighting on this property stays within the property lights. Another condition that I don't think there's going to be an issue is because another condition that we're looking at doing with the planning board is to have all exterior lights, including digital dollar displays on the pumps and self-illuminating sign lights, shall be dimmed by 50% between the hours of 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. We're also turning off all audio and video at the pumps from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. as well. So we are looking we believe it's going to be a successful trial period of 1 year. I have done this in other towns as well, because there has been some concerns because of the residential abutters, I understand. But we believe that what we are saying is actually will come to fruition, that the lights will stay on. There will not be an issue with that. There will not be the noise concerns in which they are, particularly given the buffering that Cumberland Farms is really providing to this site. And we are hopeful to have a chance to have a 24-hour operation, as others in the community do have on the same road just down the road from us, and basically say we will come back in front of the board in 1 year to have a discussion if we can maintain at 24 hours, and if we cannot, then we'd be looking to reduce it down to 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. At a minimum, we'd be looking for 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. hours.
And I'm still not sure I understand what kind of issues.
I don't believe there will be any issues, but what I'm saying.
I'm sure you don't.
So I'm sure abutters here have talked about certain issues which they have, but I believe a 24-hour operation in this location is consistent with the neighborhood and the commercial business, and that's what we are seeking.
Okay. Fran, you got anything?
No. I don't have any questions.
Peter?
Now, you said this fence going to the right, was there initially a fence on the left already, right?
That is correct.
So it's basically making a U
yeah, we had,
around it.
I think one of the concerns that was raised, and I believe it's before here and also in front of the planning board, is due to the fact that we're going to have to remove some trees in this area to do some of the construction. This board, I believe, wanted us to put trees back, but we also felt that there was also a buffering issue, because we have heard from abutters on Wayne Street that they can see through. Even though it is a very vegetated, woody area, maybe in the wintertime there is some see-through. So we decided to double down and bring the fence that was going this way across over here as well as put in additional trees in order to provide additional mitigation.
Okay. And then the no left turn, no right turn, I understand that. But what if someone that lives down there wants to leave and go down?
Well,
It's more of a deterrent.
It's more of a deterrent than what it is. The main reason for it, and from what I've heard, you can still, a patron can still, take a right on there, but we had heard concerns about, we
People
don't want
swinging
people
around,
leaving
yeah.
and basically wrapping around the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I don't think, and I believe our traffic expert can talk further about that, but the natural progression is not for a patron to the site to exit going around
Right.
other ways along those lines. But we wanted to add some additional mitigation because we heard some concerns, and we thought that a no left turn and no right turn would at least add some additional mitigation to avoid people who, out of the odd chance, may actually try and do that.
Or maybe add like not a through street or something like that.
Exactly.
So that,
Yeah.
so
it's a Cumberland Farms sign with no right turn. It's not it's not something which
oh,
would be
it's not
enforced
like
by
a
you.
highway department sign.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. It's not a sign that would be enforced by you guys. I believe that's correct. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's an MUTCD sign. It's a sign that it's similar to a stop sign.
Yeah, yeah.
I have some concerns out of left turns coming out of the location and crossing Broadway to take that left. Is there anything that you can put into play for that? And
Yeah, I think we definitely have had much discussion about that, but I think Maureen's probably the better person to actually answer that question.
Okay.
For you. Thank you.
Maureen Schlebeck from McMahon Associates. So I think it was to this board, correct me if I didn't speak to this last time, but we actually did gap studies on Broadway at locations to the south, and what we found is in the heaviest traffic conditions, people are not taking a left onto Broadway. Traffic is like water, it seeks its own level. This is a convenience land use. People are not going to go there if they have to come back out and turn left onto Broadway. They're not going to stop for a convenience item like gas or milk. So it's almost like it self-corrects itself. If they do choose to go left onto Broadway in the heavy traffic conditions, they're going to wait a long time. But the pattern that we're seeing up and down Broadway is that in the worst traffic conditions, people are not turning left onto Broadway. They're going out and turning right.
And you attribute that to what?
Excuse me?
You attribute that to what?
Well, when we did our gap study.
They just, right, they just plain didn't do it, or?
Yeah, we went out there to actually measure how long it took to turn left.
Yeah.
And we sat out there for an hour, and nobody turned left out of the site. When we were at the same site in the morning, people were turning left onto Broadway.
Nobody turned left coming out of that site, but that site right now has like zero traffic.
No,
coming
not
in and out.
this
It's
site.
at that
No,
restaurant.
we did it at a site, let me just get the name of the site. We did it at a site to the south. I want to say, the name is escaping me, I'm sorry. Oh, Supreme Plaza driveway, that's where we took the gas.
Supreme Plaza driveway.
Yes.
And
That's-
you
So we were there.
you found nobody turning left
Nobody
coming out
turned
of that
left.
plaza?
We were there from 4:45 to 5:45 PM on a weekday. And, you know, like I said, we were there in the morning, 7:15 to 8:15, and we were able to measure left turn delays. It was approximately 25 seconds on average.
At that Supreme Plaza, okay, can you, well, I wish we could visualize it, but if somebody is to make a left turn out of that plaza, it's physically impossible for them to do because of the way that the street is laid out, or the driveway is laid out. If you go through that Supreme Donuts, you're coming in, you're going through the, if you come in from the front, you come straight up. If you come in from the side, you're going around, and it's impossible for you to get back on the street. You can't, from the Supreme property, you can't get back out on 138. You've got to actually go out of the Supreme property to the road next to it and approach 138 that way.
Is there a whole plaza with more than one driveway? Because we did measure people turning left from the plaza.
From the plaza.
Yep. Onto Broadway.
In the second driveway, perhaps. There's a second driveway for
Yeah.
that plaza further up.
Yes.
But not
I
with
mean,
businesses.
it's similarly, I mean, the volumes are very low on the side streets at our project site.
You're
But
right.
we saw a similar thing in the peak hours. Nobody turned left out of the side streets.
I'm amazed. Is there anything else that can be done to control making a left turn if somebody comes out of that plaza? Going south, I'm talking about.
Well, then we're into MassDOT jurisdiction.
Okay. How about for traffic coming south and approaching that, approaching the site?
Again, that would fall to MassDOT. We've met with MassDOT District 5. We submitted a permit this morning to them for the curb cut access, so that would all fall to their jurisdiction. As you know, there's a project underway now, designing Broadway. We've been in coordination with the design consultants. As far as I know, there's no plans to prohibit left turns into curb cuts along the way. I mean, I don't think you see it up and down Broadway. There's no restrictions on turning left into the curbs.
Into McDonald's, there is.
And it's
Okay.
and it's routinely ignored.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's
you
a
can-
little
you can
different
sit
too,
in that
'cause
McDonald's, okay,
it's-
that's exactly what I was thinking. You can sit in that McDonald's, watch the traffic coming south, and you'll be looking at the curb cut that goes this way, so you can't go left, you're not supposed to be able to enter it left.
right.
And people will come down routinely going south, cut across, and, you know, sort of wiggle through the little,
Right. A difference there, though, is that's a corner lot at a signalized intersection. So there's the option to use the signal to access the site, right?
And those are
That's-
also driveways. These are rights of way, so any
Yeah.
restrictions, you'd be restricting residences from doing that as well.
hmm.
Could it be that nobody takes a left turn because it's, I don't want to say impossible, but it would take so long, you're better off taking a right, and going out and taking a different route?
That could
Or
be.
they don't want to take their life into their hands and try and go left?
That could be what's happening in the peak hour, that they're turning right and then reversing direction upstream. But the evidence that we saw out there, you know, actual observations and counts that people are not turning left. You know, there's 2 time periods in the day where it's very heavy out here. The rest of the day, it's not. You know, you've got like a 2 to 3 hour time over 24 hours where it's problematic. The rest of the day, it's not hard to get in and out of those side streets.
But it's real problematic during those times.
Right, and people adjust, so people don't go pick up a gallon of milk, when they're dealing with peak hour rush traffic.
People never adjust to a turn that they have to make at some point. Huh?
Excuse
I mean,
me.
you've got businesses up and down that strip, and people have to come out on 138 to go north, and they have to make left turns routinely, and vice versa.
To be fair, it is a commercial property. There is, someone's gonna go in there, either it's us or
Sure.
somebody else. I mean, a commercial use can be utilized there. You're gonna have the same question for any operations going in there. That's the whole reason you submitted this to your traffic expert from Niche. They came back with a clean bill of health, finding that there was a minimal impact of this project as a result of their studies, and they agreed with our traffic expert as well. And I hear you, yes, it's a problem area, but it's already a problem area, and it's gonna be a problem area for whoever goes into there. But the mitigation that we have put onto the site, the way in which we are designing it, the fact that Richard Street is gonna be straightened out instead of having this little angle that it is right now, is only going to improve the area. We have done things that are going to improve that area, and our traffic report basically shows that it is going to not have any negative impact to the area, and your traffic expert actually agrees as well. But I do understand the concerns.
I think the much bigger issue here is the gas station. We can talk about light and traffic and everything else, but I think that the bigger fear there is a gas station right next to houses that's gonna change the whole complexion, and there'll be a consequent kind of drop in value of the houses.
I haven't seen any evidence to that, and quite honestly, I've permitted these in a lot of areas where that is, it's
Yeah,
going to be a heck of a lot more attractive and efficient site than what is there now. And you have somebody who's willing to put a tremendous amount of work and effort and be a good neighbor to the town, who is sitting before you, who's willing to do the right thing, not only for neighbors, but also for the town as well. Cumberland has really, from the beginning of when we tried to rezone to where we are now, we have done so much to really mitigate a use which we believe is appropriate in the area, and we believe that once this thing is built, I think it's going to be one of those things where you can't believe you opposed it. That's what our belief is.
Peter?
Do you know how many gas pumps there are within half a mile of that?
I know that there are at least 3 stations within a mile.
I want to say, the count I think I remember was 64.
Oh, pumps.
Pumps.
Excuse me. Pumps.
Gas pumps.
Gotcha.
Yes, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 existing. Yours would be number 6.
Gas stations.
4 gas stations. 4 of the 5 are on that same side of the road, which is another thing. If people are going for gas, they're going to be taking lefts in there, and it makes it, people are going to take lefts no matter what. But to add 64 pumps is quite a few for such a short stretch of road. And adding 12 more, I don't know if there's a necessity for it. Am I close? Do you have the number?
I don't have the number of
All right.
pumps. I was aware that there were potentially 3 stations within. I know there's a Gulf station. The ones to the left of us aren't really active gas stations to my knowledge. I know there's one on the other side of 495 or whatever the road is.
There's 2 on the other side of 495. Both of them have,
Right.
I want to say, approximately 20 pumps each. Then there's the one on this side of 495, and that has about 16. There's one at Britton Street. There's one at Prospect Hill Street. There's one at Center Street. Doesn't have the pumps working now, but may in the future want to. So there's quite a high concentration of gasoline stations there.
I think you can say in pretty much any town. I think there is a need for gasoline stations. I think there's a need for competition for gasoline stations. I think there's a need for a convenience store that's tied to a gasoline station. I think there's a need to have a top quality convenience store who, in my opinion, is one of the better convenience store gas stations around to help provide convenience services as well as ability to fuel your vehicles and have the ability to pick and choose prices. These people do compete with one another, and I understand. I believe there is a need for this. I believe there's a need for the convenience store. I believe that there is a based on what is going on with this project, with the mitigation and the work in which is going to be done to the roads surrounding this neighborhood. I think that this is it's a public need project to basically rectify roads in which the town do have responsibility for, and this is an opportunity to basically fix what flooding issues we have heard, as well as at the same time provide a convenient and appropriate business for this location. I cannot deny the facts, but I do believe that there is a need. I believe that it will benefit this town, benefit the neighborhood twofold.
Do you have any plans for the, like for the back part of the parcel?
No, because the back part of the parcel, we originally tried to we wanted more room, but there was heavy opposition to do that. So we decided to maintain the buffering, and we didn't want to touch the back parcel because it's heavily wooded. And quite honestly, because of the residential neighborhood, it's the biggest buffer I've ever seen in the rear part of a convenience store I've ever permitted in my site, in my life. It really does provide a nice buffering and distance between the project and the rear part of the properties. These properties here are already, quite honestly, what we are doing there with the buffering and the screening far exceeds what is there today, and I believe far exceeds anything any other applicant before you would do.
Peter?
I think I'm good for now.
Okay, likewise.
Well, I thank you very much for your time and patience and letting us have the necessary discussions we needed to appear back in front of you. And we respectfully request you grant our comments.
Stick around, there's more.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Is there anyone else here who wishes to be heard in favor of this petition at this point? Does the clerk have any communications favoring the petition?
We have a letter from Ed Buckley, Highway Superintendent. I have reviewed the revised draft mitigation agreement dated 1/7/20. This agreement and proposed improvements appear to address all of the concerns previously identified by the Raynham Highway Department regarding stormwater runoff concerns and roadway pavement improvements. This will help minimize impacts from the construction and the existing site conditions to nearby residents of Sylvan Street, Wayne Street, and Richard Street. The agreement, pending final review by Town Council, will allow the Town of Raynham to perform this work in cost-effective manner in conjunction with the use of Chapter 90 or Town Infrastructure Funds. It is my opinion that the combination of on-site improvements by CFI and off-site roadway and drainage improvements by the Town of Raynham and Mass DOT will have a positive impact on the residential neighborhood surrounding this site. I am in support of the project approval. Sincerely, Ed Buckley, Highway Superintendent, Town of Raynham.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in opposition to this petition? Would you like to come up and be heard? State your name, sir.
My name is Chris Petty, 2 Wayne Street. I've spoken on this a few different times. Just to go back to what has been mentioned tonight, I mentioned that any operation coming in will also cause left-hand turns, which is true. We are not against any business going in there. We've lived there, my wife and I, for 26 years almost, with Cumberland Farms pretty harmoniously. And yes, people will take left-hand turns. As you see at McDonald's, they'll take left-hand turns whether there's a sign or not. But any operation coming in, where it's right now the land use is food and restaurant, they spend a lot more time there. There's a lot less cars that will be trying to take left-hand turns all day long. I did some research, and the average time spent at a restaurant or food establishment is 45 minutes to 90 minutes for a sit-down restaurant like China Garden was, whereas a convenience store and gas station is 5 to 7 minutes and a much higher traffic. So yes, there will be some taking it, but you're just adding to the problem of having more cars coming in and taking left-hand turns and left-hand turns in and out. It was also mentioned that it would be self-correcting, but that kind of goes against their own report that says that there will be 140 cars in the morning taking a left-hand turn in or out, and 190 plus cars in the evening taking left-hand turns in or out. So, but they're kind of stating it against their own report that there will be a lot of cars taking left-hand turns in and out. It's Cumberland Farms. They're popular. They're gonna have people coming off the highway or going in there on their way home to get gas. It's a lot cheaper than a lot of other places. We use Cumberland Farms. We're not against Cumberland Farms at all. But the traffic situation is going to be a nightmare. It already is kind of a nightmare right now. Last night there was an accident at McDonald's again. A car tried to turn into McDonald's, and again, another accident. So it's going to happen. We have a lot of personal concerns with it. They're trying to mitigate them. That's great. I understand that, but that's mitigating and making it less impact. That doesn't mean it's not going to be no impact compared to how it is now or how it has been for 20 plus years that we've been there, and some people have lived there for almost 60 years. One other thing that I wanted to bring up is, yes, McDonald's is there, Speedway's on the other side, they're 24 hours. The homes aren't wrapped around them like a little horseshoe like they are at this particular property. It's not really built to have that type of a business right on that property, which is why I go right back to the whole reason for the petition that they submitted. They should be supplying, and I'll read, I know you guys know it, evidence including market data submitted by the petitioner that there's a public need. I still haven't seen or heard anything that was submitted by the petitioner that showed there was a public need for more gas station on this particular strip, because there is not just one, but at least 5 functioning gas stations right now within a mile. I still haven't seen or heard that, and I pretty much have been to every meeting for the zoning board or the planning board to make sure that I'm up to date on exactly what's going on, because this is going to affect us right where we live. So because of that lack of any evidence, I would ask the board to deny the petition. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who wishes to be heard with respect to in opposition to this matter?
Anna Franzosa, 46 Sylvain Street, right here. So for me, I'm just going to tilt this up a bit. For me, I have primarily a lot of health and safety concerns for a lot of the reasons that Chris has brought up. The amount of traffic is scary, especially when you consider that this house, this house, this house, and that house all have school-age children which take the bus every day, and their bus stop is currently in the China Garden parking lot. So I'm wondering where all of those children are going to get picked up every morning. And that just really, it concerns me a lot to have that many extra cars coming in the area. I am disabled. I use a cane. I use a wheelchair. You know, I feel now that I could walk to any neighbor's house or roll to any neighbor's house and say hello, but I'm not going to feel safe leaving my home with that many additional cars. And honestly, I'm very frustrated because from the beginning, I feel that the group from Cumberland Farms has done everything they can to appear like they're trying to do something nice for us, but nothing about this feels nice, helpful, or necessary for improving the neighborhood. We're very lucky in that we are a tight-knit neighborhood. We have a text chain. Like, we keep in touch, we like each other, and I'm not kidding when I tell you that if another restaurant goes in there, we would be there on opening day celebrating with them, because that would be a great neighbor, just like how China Garden was. But I can't see how a gas station plus convenience store of this size, of this capacity, and of a level of popularity as Cumberland Farms has, could ever be a good neighbor in the same way that China Garden could in terms of the health and safety of our neighborhood. And frankly, the mitigation is, it's nice. It'd be nice not to flood the basement, because we're the ones that are most impacted by it. But having Cumberland Farms come in and adjust the grading in the street and put in some drainage, that isn't going to make me feel safe leaving my house. It's not going to make me not concerned about the school bus coming down the street. What's going to happen if there's somebody parked in the fire lane or all along anywhere during the streets when the school buses are coming down? Assuming they start to go that way, because you can't be picked up in the middle of a Cumberland Farms gas station for school in the morning. I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's smart. And I would feel that way even if it wasn't my neighborhood. There's just too many things that can go wrong from a traffic standpoint. And that doesn't even get into everything that can go wrong from living in that close proximity to a gas station. Living within 100 yards of a gas station has been shown to be extremely dangerous. We already have multiple people on this road, including folks who live here, myself and another child, that have severe asthma. And I don't see how gasoline fumes is going to help that. We also have a child, the one who lives right here, that has leukemia. Living near a gas station makes you more likely to develop a number of different cancers. Do we want all of the children in the neighborhood to be living with that over their head? It's scary. So I respectfully ask that you decline the change of use permit this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard in opposition to this petition?
Say something real quick. I just wanted to clarify the record and just.
State your name, please.
Phil Henry with Civil Design Group. So we're obviously happy to speak on any topics here tonight, but we've been in front of this board a number of times, and the direct feedback that we got was looking and reviewing the use through the lens of traffic and satisfying DPW. And we have done both of those on both of those accounts. So again, we're happy to speak about the use in general, but we did not get that direct feedback from this board at prior hearings that we could have had that discussion, just the use in general, or gas station use as you alluded to. So I just wanted to share that with your consideration, that we focus on direct feedback, and the direct feedback that we got from this board at prior hearings was looking at the use through the lens of traffic and satisfying DPW. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard in opposition?
Tall people. Oh, excuse me. Maria Petty, Wayne Street, 2 Wayne Street. I appreciate all the hard work that's been done by both the town boards involved as well as Cumberland Farms. They're doing a bang-up job. They've been working very hard to answer all the mitigations. However, I think what this boils down to, traffic obviously is an issue, And just as an FYI, I've been pulling out of those streets for 26 years at all times of the day. And as impossible as it is during rush hour, in the morning and evening, it's pretty darn hard the rest of the day too. I know the chairman knows this because he works in the area, but that's not my biggest issue. We don't need another fuel station in North Raynham. We definitely don't need another fuel station when there are 64 fuel pumps within 1 mile. And it is 1 mile. I am a runner, I am a biker. I can tell you what's 2/10 of a mile, and because, you know, I always want to get home at the end of those long runs. We don't need it. I appreciate that they want to beautify the property. It was mentioned at the last ZBA meeting that we should be more concerned about our property values when it becomes an abandoned, vandalized property. I had regaled you all with a top 10 list of things that make a property less valuable. That didn't even crack the top 10. Gas station's still number 2. So that, you might not want to call that proof. It's just a study. A lot of things are just studies. I also appreciate they want to beautify the property, but there are, I know of 2 other businesses that have already expressed interest in that particular property. It's not as if it is never going to be sold and developed, and it's going to look nice no matter who goes in there, I'm sure, because the town of Raynham makes sure of it. But somebody else going in there may not have 15-foot high bright LED lights, and I appreciate that they're willing to turn them down after 11 o'clock, and I appreciate that they want to put in 8-foot arborvitaes and build a 6-foot fence. But 15-foot high lights, and it's light travels pretty fast from what I learned in science class in the 4th grade. So I just think what it boils down to, and I did go through and photograph and count every fuel pump, we don't need it. We just don't need it. And I understood that our bylaws were based on need, and if it boils down to that one thing, I implore the board to please deny the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here who wishes to be heard in opposition? Yes, sir.
Hello, Derek Dadgis. I live at 4 Richard Street in Raynham. If you don't mind, can I just take a look at this drawing real quick? Because I haven't seen this drawing yet. This is an updated version from the last time I saw it. Okay, so my understanding was that this meeting here tonight was to discuss the change of use from a what is currently a food establishment to a gas station. It sounds like a lot of other stuff has been done behind the scenes to get in line with what the town expects needs to happen for improvements to this property. But I think some stuff has gone forward maybe further than it should have before we've even discussed whether or not it should be changed to a gas station usage versus a restaurant. I think there's a lot of common sense that needs to come into play with this. Again, Cumberland Farms couldn't even tell you how many pumps are within the property they're trying to build on. If you were putting all this effort into making all these diagrams, all these people, all this money spent, and you're telling me you don't even know how many pumps that are going to be close, I mean, isn't that just basic business? You want to know what your competition is at this point, especially with how much has been invested. And just, again, on the common sense, you're talking about plopping a gas station in a horseshoe-shaped neighborhood, wrapping houses around this, okay, that have been there for many years. It doesn't make sense. I know it's fair, it's a business, I get it, I'm a business person myself. I just think that we need to look at, as a town, how much more can we exploit the town of Raynham before we say, okay, enough is enough to big business. I mean, we got gas stations everywhere, there's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere. Okay, 2 Walmarts, the running joke, okay? At some point, we have to stop and say, okay, what really makes sense at this point? We're running out of land. I get it, it's a busy place. It's a good place for a business, but do we really need a gas station?
as the person who lives at 4 Richard Street currently, this will be about 50 feet away from my front door. So I get a front row seat to this mess that's going to be built there. And granted, there is a slight mess there with China Garden, but I'd be happy to look at abandoned China Garden for another 10 years before I want to walk out the front door and smell gas fumes or see people going in and out 24 hours a day with their headlights hitting the front of my house, okay? And it's not just the business aspect of it where there's going to be people coming in there just to use the bathroom at 2 o'clock in the morning, okay? And what type of people are those going to be? Okay, if you do the investigation, you look into it, you do the research, you'll see that a lot of bad things happen at that hour of the night, okay? You have people doing overdoses, that kind of stuff comes into play because it's a public bathroom, anybody can go in there, right? So there's a crime issue there. The traffic study, okay, I've lived in that area for quite a while now. I'm very concerned that they couldn't even tell you you can't take a left out of the Supreme Plaza, okay? Because anybody who lives in that area knows that you can only take a right out of Supreme Plaza onto 138. So I wonder how much actual work was done with that. Something that wasn't really discussed too much was the runoff. There are some residents within this area who have well water, quite close. I know there's some people on Gilmore Street who still use well water. So I have a concern about that as to how much contamination might happen from rainwater and runoff from around the gas pumps. Because as you know, gas does spill on the ground when people pump gas. I think, again, just going back, I think this is a common sense thing that the people in the town can agree that it's really not necessary to add another gas station at this point. And that changing the use from food establishment to a gas station, not only does it not make sense, but it's just not fair to the people who live around it that had the expectation that the town would maintain that as a food establishment, as that's what it is. And to go and change that and change the game at this point, it doesn't make sense. And you go to some states, you can't even build a gas station within 300 feet of a house. And we're talking, I mean, look how close that is. So I just ask that the board take that stuff into consideration and deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard in opposition? Yes, sir.
Michael Arrieta, 676 Broadway. First off, traffic. Everybody knows 138's a nightmare. I don't care what time of day you are, pulling out, trying to take a left, you're sitting there out of my place, sometimes up to 2 minutes. It's horrible and it's unsafe. I'm not sure if there's been any studies done about how many accidents have been on 138 because of this. I don't care where you are on 138, there's accidents, and adding more businesses to it is not going to help it. That's going to have in and out like this. Second of all, my concern is small businesses. This is a corporation. Those businesses that are established at gas station, convenience stores, they're small mom and pops who support this town for many, many years. You got to put that into play. When it was a small town, they were there, and they just taking a small town feel away from it. And also want you guys aware, I'm not sure, that could be an impact, not at this moment, but Cumberland Farms is pursuing on the 2020 election, November ballot, to allow liquor sales at all Cumberland Farms within the state. So once again, you'll be adding liquor sales to this place. Not sure you're aware of that. So I want you to put all this into thoughts, and please deny this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to be heard in opposition to this petition? Are there any communications in opposition to this petition?
I do not believe so. No.
Would the objectors care to summarize, or are you satisfied? Good. Ask the petitioner or their representative to summarize.
So from pretty much the get-go, there's definitely been some heavy opposition to this. This is a use. China Garden's been there. It's been pretty much empty since I think 2015 when it was shut down because of a flooding. This property has found a partner who has attempted to do a project on not only the front part but also the rear part. We heard from butters and listened to their concerns in connection with that, made some significant mitigations, ultimately decided to go, and what we've heard is you don't need to rezone, just do it on your own property. So that's what we have done. If this was the same plan that I presented to you when we first started, I would say every concern in which you heard tonight is the same concern in which you heard the first night, the second night, and then also tonight as well. It's the same concerns I've heard, and the planning board as well, and also rezoning. And unlike what I believe is Cumberland Farms is a corporation that listens, and we have listened, and we believe there is a need. We believe this is an appropriate site as a commercial. Unfortunately, these people purchase property. Not unfortunately, but these people, when they purchase a property, realized that they were buying next to a commercial zone. Everything on the other side of the street is commercial. Pretty much everything just past down here is commercial as well. We realized we were in a residential pocket in this one little area, but we are on a commercial space. We have followed the guidelines for a commercial space for this type of use. We have mitigated, substantially mitigated, and provided major upgrades. The lighting concerns, I have shown you diagrams. These lights do not bleed off of the light, do not bleed off of it. The concerns about seeing it, the height, we have basically provided landscaping. We've basically provided additional buffering, not only on this side, but on the rear and on this side as well. In connection with traffic, we went through a substantive, and in fact, we were delayed 2.5 months in order to basically even be able to proceed with you, because Niche Engineering, who you retained, went through significantly the traffic impact study and the traffic on this site, and realizes that this is a poor area. Just because an area is poor does not give the board discretion or grounds to deny a permit. If we are increasing or causing an impact to existing conditions, then that's discretion. Here, both your own peer review as well as our traffic expert has indicated to you that there will be minimum impact to this area, and that the overall operations are safe. We basically, the way in which we have designed it, the flow on this site is taking into consideration every single factor of where the parking spaces are, where people are going to park, where they're going to walk into the area. We've primarily moved everything over into the front of the store for primary parking. Vehicles with the spacing in between the pumps, which is a little bit more than what you normally see at a site, which provides more movement within it. We have looked to take into consideration off-site mitigation as well, in which we have heard that Mass DOT is doing some work. We have contacted Mass DOT to find out exactly what they are doing so that we can make sure that once they straighten out Richard Street, that whatever we are doing there is in line with what Mass DOT is looking to do. We are also knowing that Mass DOT is looking to improve Broadway with the work in which they are doing. It is a problem area. It is a traffic area. But any business that goes in there is going to have the same left turn issues. If your traffic engineer, your own peer-reviewed traffic engineer, came back to you and indicated to you that there is a significant issue with left turns out of this site, I can understand. I understand that they're lay people, they live there, but this is an issue that's going on currently all up and down the road. A project should not be denied because there's already an existing condition. Project should be denied if, in fact, we are going to impact and increase that problem. You have evidence from your own engineer as well as our engineer, who are professionals in the field, who have analyzed this. And forgive me, but McMahon Associates is the best traffic engineer in Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in my opinion. That's why I hired them, because they tell me exactly the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that I know how to say, hey, well, this is a problem, so let's find a way to mitigate it. I feel comfortable with them standing before you and testifying because I know that what they're telling you is legit. We believe that this project benefits the town. This project obviously benefits us. It benefits the owner of the property who's had a dilapidated site that has been sitting vacant for well over 3.5 years, who is also an owner, who is also someone who lives on this block. She also owns property on this street as well. She rents it out, but a lot of these areas are rented out. I'm not sure how many of these people are actually homeowners on this street or if they're actually renters on the street as well, but I believe it is highly an area where there is rentals. We are and have meticulously looked through this project and listened. We did not ignore anybody. I've heard these concerns every single meeting, and we have done everything possible to mitigate those concerns. And we believe that this is an appropriate project, and we would respectfully request that this board grant this project. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I think that we heard during the course of the night that this property was being, like zoned different, rezoned from a restaurant to a commercial use. Is that the fact?
No, it's basically, it's currently, the retail is permitted as a right. And so the retail portion of this project is a convenience store is as of right, so we had to go to site plan approval for that. In connection with the gas, we're adding a use. So the gas use is an additional use. There's not an existing use there. So we're not rezoning, we're not doing anything. This board allows in this district to seek a special permit for a gas use, and that's what we were doing here. We tried to rezone the rear portion to commercial, and it just didn't go over well, and it wasn't something in which the neighborhood wanted. And as a result of that, and from hearing, why can't you do it on your own property? Why do you have to come back into this and take away all this nice natural buffering areas, put it on your own property? So hearing that, when we were going through rezoning, we thought we'd do that, but we took into consideration. At the very beginning of this, we had a curb cut here that basically was going into, a neighbor was looking just at the curb cuts. We moved it from there. This plan to where it is today has been moved around, and the only purpose that it has been moved around is the fact that I listen to every single one of these people every single time that they stand up. And after these meetings, I go back, I talk to my team and say, what can we do to make it better? And every single time we've appeared before you, we have done not just one or two things, we have done significant things. I heard about the flooding, which was primarily the biggest issue at the very beginning of this, was the flooding to the rear of it. And we were trying to find a resolution. We were having difficulty in getting our heads around it because our stormwater shows that we are actually reducing the amount of runoff because of mitigation and what we're doing to the site. So we have no obligation to do anything, but in connection with trying to assist the neighborhood, and believe it or not, we are trying to be good neighbors, we started talking with DPW, and these neighbors should be very proud of this town for its members, not only on this board, but also in this DPW, looking out for their interest of seeing roads that do need repair, and basically seeing that because we are putting a commercial project in there, can we partner up with the town to assist the town in performing much needed repair, not only to the roads, but also to the drainage issues on there. I feel as if Cumberland is a substantial partner. I am very proud to represent them. I represent them since 1999, and I've done a lot of these projects. And there's sometimes in these areas there's heavy opposition. But when Cumberland does what Cumberland Farms has done here by listening and really putting together a tremendous plan and really providing some significant mitigations to the bulk of their concerns, the only concern I can't address is, yes, it's a gas station. That's the only concern I can address. Every other concern in which they have listed, I've either demonstrated that it is not something in which it can be fixed, but we are not increasing the problem, or we have done everything possible to mitigate the concerns which I had, from lighting to noise to screening the area, to moving things around. Every concern in which we have heard, we have addressed. The only thing I cannot address is that it is a gas station. We believe that it is permitted in this area, and we believe that we have met every single standard and then some, and are doing above and beyond what a developer or an applicant would want to do. And the reason we're doing it is to be good neighbors and to get into this town and be a good neighbor to this town and hopefully to the abutters, and hopefully this does not impact them in the way in which, unfortunately, their speculation thinks it will be. I really appreciate your time and patience with us.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Maureen for dealing with me. Thank you very much for guiding me through this process. Thank you.
Thank you. Want to shut it down?
I think all that's been said.
What?
Yeah, I think all that's been said.
Yeah. Is there anyone here who wishes to have us hear anything else? Or is everybody satisfied at this point?
I just would like to add that behind Sylvian Street is wetlands.
Okay.
You didn't mention that.
All right, thank you.
Could I just answer a couple of things you brought up? They're really fast, I promise.
You promise?
I do. I do.
Go ahead.
Chris Petty, 2 Wayne Street again. Everyone who spoke tonight and everyone who's here concerned they live in those homes and they own those homes. The only home that is not owner occupied is the one owned by China Garden that has renters in there. That's the one over here on the front, wherever it is, over here. And we did buy our homes next to a commercial property, absolutely, as a food establishment, not a gas station. Our reasonable expectation, fortunately my father-in-law was the land, he did a lot of stuff with land, so he had us check a few things, and it's a food establishment, not a gas station. That's when we bought our home. What was the last one? Oh, they said that it doesn't negatively impact it. Their own traffic study says that the level of service right now is a C and it will be an F within 7 years. So yes, it is negatively impacting that particular area.
Okay, thank you.
That's all.
I would declare the public hearing is closed. The board will now go into executive session. All may remain while the board deliberates, but none may speak. Take it, Fran.
I think you heard my thoughts about the gas station. You know, I think that the traffic problem kind of cuts both ways. In that there is traffic, there will be more. There'll be more with the gas station or without.
More without, sure.
It's going to increase, that's not going to bring it. Actually, you know, where it already is busy and you do have to wait, I don't think it's going to gain more traffic coming to that case to get gas there, because you know there's a traffic issue there. You're not going to drive to an issue of traffic to get more gas when you know you're going to drive right into the storm. It's kind of odd that we had before the town this year a proposal to allow along Broadway a mixed use where there could be some homes above offices, and it would be a way to put something like that in here, which would seem to fit much more with what these neighbors would like to have. Yet that was turned down in a pretty harsh way. So that seems to be, that's what we want, but that didn't pass either. So I think it would be wrong to put a business into an area with all homes, but it is a business zone. It's not a business going into a place where it just didn't belong.
It's sort of it's a tough situation because there are conflicting uses of the land. Well, you know, one group wants to do one thing, another group wants to do another thing. I can see the sense and the reasonableness of both points of view. I really can. I don't think, love to have a Cumbies right down the street from my office so I can get coffee in the morning. And I've got nothing against Cumberland Farms. I think they run as good an establishment as anybody out there in that business. You know, the problem that I have, though, is that, you know, we're in a situation where our position as a board dictates that we're supposed to do what's in the best interest of the community, and you know the routine. And it's our job to make sure that the public is protected, and you know, we make decisions that benefit the town and the public, and that's where I run into problems. You know, even the traffic is miserable there. There's no getting around that, but that's going to be there, and it's going to get worse, and that's the way it is. But what bothers me more than anything else in this situation is that, you know, we, in order to stay in compliance with the bylaws and to enforce the bylaws the way they're written, if we're putting in a gas station, we have to be able to see convincing evidence of a public need in this type of situation. Okay, if there were one gas station there, other gas station there, fine, have a second one, have a third one, okay? Let's put one on this side of the street and one right across, like they do in most intersection over highways and so on. I don't have a huge problem with that, because I can see the traffic flow and, you know, with the necessity for that type of a situation. But, you know, in this situation, the biggest problem that I have is the fact that there are 5 gas stations within a mile on 138, and all but one travel in the same direction. And now we're going to do another 5th gas station, 6th gas station, within a mile, all of 5 of them on the same side of the street. So those gas stations, those 5 gas stations, are basically servicing people that are traveling north, you know, and it just doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't see the public need for a 6th gas station there. I just, you know, no matter which way I twist it, I just can't see it.
I think you're right about that. It's too bad that you don't hear from all the people that live near the other gas stations who are going to get less traffic, because it's all going to go here.
Exactly, yeah.
So the only time you hear from people are those that are impacted coming your way, but it's all those people are all probably
Sure.
home thinking, hey, I hope that passes, and they take
Right.
it out of my yard and bring
Right.
it down there.
Yeah.
Just as a point of information, I guess, the gas station, you know, like with the Dunkin' Donuts, I think was just sold this past week to another oil company.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay, that's interesting.
We saw a big deed
I
come
wasn't
through and
aware
said,
of
what's
that.
that? What property is that?
Huh. I didn't realize that, but that's interesting. Peter, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, pretty much the same concerns. Like I said, there's 64 pumps already there. Adding 12 more, I don't see a need if there's already 64 within a mile. If you can't find a gas station that you can stop to in that 64 pumps, then, and like you say, the other thing is, they're all, 5 out of the 6 would be on the same side of the road. You know, and the other gas stations, yes, there are some residential houses near them, but most of them are on a corner. So it's not like they're going out towards the residents. Their exits aren't going out towards residents, they're going to commercial, you know, going across to the Granite Place or going across to another gas station. Or most of them are exiting onto 138, not onto a side street that's going into a person's house. And as far as the traffic, I mean, yes, you know, if they don't think it's gonna increase, then I don't know why they wanna put something there if they don't think that more cars are gonna go in and out. But I would, yeah, I just don't see the necessity. And even the convenience store part, you have a convenience store at with the one with the Dunkin', you have a convenience store at the Hess, you have a convenience store at the Mobile, you have a convenience store at the one at Prospect Hill Street. So, I mean, even with the convenience stores, there's not an extreme need.
There's not a big need, but they can do that as a.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah,
I know,
so
you
they-
can put a convenience
yeah,
store
they
anywhere.
can just do that.
But I'm just
yeah.
saying, it's, you know, you can only saturate so much.
Yeah. Fran, what do you think? You ready to vote? Move for a vote on the petition. Fran?
I want to get this right. Do we still make, in the back of my mind, we still, like, make a motion in favor and then vote opposed as opposed to
Right.
a negative motion to vote, to vote no? I think the proper way is to say, move to pass it and then vote no, rather than move to not do it.
Okay. Move to pass the petition.
To pass it or accept it?
To approve the
To approve the
petition.
petition. Yes,
To
indeed.
accept it,
To
and
accept.
then vote to deny it. Is that what you,
Yes,
Yes.
if that's the will
All
of
right.
the one.
Yes, go ahead.
vote to accept the submission of it?
Approve it.
To approve it.
Okay.
Approve it.
And?
Nay.
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 Did somebody second it? Who seconded?
I'm sorry, we'll second.
Carl did?
Yeah. All right. You all set?
Unanimous?
You all
Unanimous,
set?
no.
Yeah, did we need to make that a little clearer? I'm not sure if they thought that was discussion over here, but.
You all voted no, right? I heard it.
I want to know
Well,
how
we
after 30
voted
years you get me so
Yes,
confused.
to accept the petition,
You
and
voted to
then,
approve it.
Right.
You
And
motioned
then-
to approve it. You all voted no.
Motion to approve, and we all voted no.
It-
All right. I would open the meeting again. I announced the decision was not in favor of approving the petition. Anyone having any objections to the decision may file an appeal to the Superior Court, and that appeal shall be filed with the town clerk within 20 days of the filing of the board's decision with the town clerk. Thank you, everyone. I would close the meeting at this point.
well, do we have to do
Oh,
general
we have the
business?
general business, yeah.
Well, which one do you want to do first? This
I
approved
don't
minutes?
care.
Yeah, 12 minutes.
All right, so we are going to approve the
Fran,
minutes of,
move to-
do them each separate?
No, you can do them all.
All right,
I'll- I'll do it.
approve the minutes of June 12th, 2019, petition
second.
number 985.
Second?
A second.
Yes.
Approve. August 28th, 2019, number 989.
A second?
Vote to approve.
Unanimous. Approve the minutes of October 2nd, 2019, numbers 989, 993, and 994.
Motion to approve. Move to approve.
And I second
Aye.
that motion.
Move to
Aye.
approve.
Move to approve. October 30th, 2019, numbers 989 and 994.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. And then vote on the petition to withdraw, petition withdrawal request of Mammoth Acquisition, 469 South Street West. Do I need to read this into it, or?
Well, you can just give a synopsis.
Various application of Mammoth Acquisition Company LLC, property location 469 South Street West, assessors map 14 lot 218-4. It is a letter, dear Chairman Varana, members of the zoning board, office representing Mammoth Acquisition regarding above variance, scheduled hearing for November 13th. However, it has come to our 2019 attention that we'll need to request additional variance. Basically, they are withdrawing. Additionally, we respectfully request that the board waive the requirement to pay a new filing fee when refile, when we refile the application, as the new application will essentially be the same petition with slightly revised request for relief, and the previous petition was withdrawn prior to the opening of the public hearing. Thank you for your attention. Respectfully, Gay and Gay, David T. Gay, Esquire.
Just to let you know, they're not going to be refiling. It has changed since that letter.
Is that right?
So you
Okay.
don't have to vote on the fee.
Okay.
All right,
Almost like
So-
January again.
Move to
accept.
accept.
Aye.
In
Aye,
favor?
aye,
Aye,
aye.
aye, aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
That's yours and that's yours.
And with
you.
that, da-da-da-da. Meeting is closed.
I make a
So
motion
moved.
to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye. So these are the.